welcome to the Millcreek Government Channel. I'm Judy Zelina, and on our program today we have Judy Helcom joining us again, and Judy is a retired registered nurse. We also have Janice Ronan. Janice is with the Penn State Cooperative Extension Center, and as you may guess, we're going to be talking about eating today, correct?
Really?
You think so?
Oh, okay, can't wait.
But our subject today, it's kind of interesting. We're going to be talking about different excuses for not eating healthy or not making healthy choices.
Right.
So that's kind of our subject today.
Very good. And remember, let's prepare ourselves. We understand our listeners love to see us put each other on the hot seat.
Well, I think it's me.
More like them.
You know, and I'd like to point out, I don't know if I see you two on the hot seat as much as you.
Oh, we've made some true confessions, Judy. Out there for everyone to know about.
Yeah. We'll start with either one of us. How's that?
But you know what, ladies? What is it about making excuses that's important for our viewers to understand?
Absolutely. So I'll start out with my friend Webster's Dictionary.
All right, you go right ahead.
Got to get the straight scoop. So Webster says, excuses mean to regard or judge with forgiveness. That's one. To offer an apology is another part of excuses. To justify our behavior, I think that's a good one for me. To release from obligation of some duty that we have. To seek or obtain exemption or release from responsibility for myself, and to offer an explanation for my behavior. So all of those have in common some kind of justification. Now, are you going to say, is that deliberate when we make an excuse? Do you think? Would you guys say it's deliberate, or is it unconscious?
I think it's unconscious.
But sometimes it can be a rationalization, if you think about it. Some of those definitions kind of fit in with the idea of rationalizing something that we want to do.
That's true. You're right.
So I think it could be both.
Right. And actually, I would say it starts unconsciously, but until you bring it to your own awareness, then you're going to find out, now wait a minute, I use this pretty much all the time. What's behind that? But most people are on what I call automatic pilot, and they don't want to think, put some thought into this. And that's where you get into problems then with making choices or making changes in your life.
And that is difficult, because you are right. We are all on automatic pilot.
Yes.
A lot of eating is habits.
Oh, it is.
You know, we tend to eat a rather limited amount of food. I think they say that the average household has maybe 10 meals that just keep getting rotated around. So a lot of it is just habit that we fall back onto.
So we're going to be talking about eating healthy, excuses. I'm hearing habits they're difficult to change. So how do you go about starting to change habits to rationalize these excuses?
Okay, well, to lead into that too, I was looking on the internet one day to see what are the common excuses that people have. So we're going to dovetail this with those habits too. Okay, so what do you think is, if you had to guess, and we were surveying the population and asking what are the biggest excuses, the top 5 excuses. Does anything come to the top of your mind?
Well, I think right away we all think of our own personal excuses.
Okay, right. But one, what would you think of in particular, specifically?
I would probably say convenience.
Okay. Excellent. Okay, that's one excuse.
It's just convenient. It's right there. You don't have to think about trying to change anything. It's just right there.
Well, like you have said in previous shows, like when you go grocery shopping, you have in mind, where do I typically go? Okay, in the bread aisle, this is what I'm going to get. You see what I'm saying? That's a habit, okay? But it's an excuse, because you might deliberately walk into the supermarket and say, you know, normally I go to the bread aisle first. Today I'm going to the produce aisle. change. Nobody likes change, though. So this is a common excuse, though, is convenience. What would you say, Jan?
Another is one that I use is a reward. I've been good today. Otherwise, today I've eaten pretty healthfully.
Okay.
So now it's not going to matter if I take a couple of cookies because I've been good the rest of the day.
Okay.
So.
All right. And how do you usually feel after? Do you have any consequence to that after you do that?
Sometimes it's okay, and other times I think, those cookies didn't taste all that good, and I said I was going to avoid them. So why did I do that?
Yeah.
So.
Right.
It's a mixed bag.
So, and viewers that are listening to us, they're probably saying, well, you're not hitting the one. Absolutely. We're never going to hit the one for somebody else because everybody has their own.
Different
but
excuses.
Here's the question. Do you even realize most people at automatic pilot do not even realize the excuses that they're making?
Because it's so entrenched in their life. Yeah.
And honestly, if I wasn't doing this program, never in a million years would I think that I make excuses. Truly, until we talked about this. When I go to a store or I reward myself, which I do,
right.
I say, well, I deserve this. This chocolate cake, I worked hard for it. Never would I thought that I would make excuses. If you had said to me, Judy, do you make excuses not to eat healthy? I'd say, of course not. I eat healthy enough.
Yes, exactly.
Because I think excuses give us permission and make us feel like it's okay to do whatever we're doing. So we feel good about doing it because this excuse has led us up to this permission that we have.
Right.
Okay.
And always on these programs, the way we always look at it when we're planning for one of these is, how are we going to reach people to become more aware of what they're doing? Because you can talk about a laundry list of if you buy this, if you do this, if you do that, and people tune it out. And the reason is because they're not in touch with their own being of awareness. And that's why we wanted to do this show today about excuses to force people, unless they're going to just change the channel and say, too close to home. And that could very well be the case. But I assure you, if I run into somebody that says, oh, I saw that most recent show, I'm going to say, was that about excuses? Oh boy, you hit me in the gut with that one. I would feel terrific. They won't. They'll say, because you're asking me to change, as Janice talks about a lot too. Nobody wants to change. So what do you really want for your life, I guess?
And that's it. I think we all have this resistance to change. And I'll confess, as I get older, I'm, more and more set in my ways, and I figure I've kind of honed things out that maybe this is I think is the best way to proceed with my life, and so I'm not as open to change. My children will tell you that I don't change easily. But once in a while, I think we have to stop and think, okay, based on what we're doing now and the habits we have and the excuses that we use, where is this going to take us? Where am I going to be 5, 10, 15 years down the line in terms of health and that? And is that where I want to be?
Right.
And if it isn't, then we need to do something. And when I talk to people, especially older audiences or just friends sitting around like we are here, about what you envision your life to be down the line, what two themes that come out consistently that I think we probably could agree with. I want to be independent. I don't see, I've never met a senior or any person that says, I can hardly wait till I get to that nursing home. It's going to be so much fun. Well, I want to stay in my own home. I want to be independent, and I want to continue to be in control of my life. I want to call the shots. So if your life isn't leading you to maintain your independence and stay in control, then now's the time to make some changes.
And also, my brother comes to mind because his favorite saying is, I want to do what I want to do when I want to do it. Okay? Yeah. Now, healthy eating, try to put those two together. Is that a good fit? Not necessarily.
Not really.
Because it's like requiring you to look maybe at a food differently or a portion size differently. again, change is the problem or the challenge.
Right. Yes,
we
it is.
don't want it. We want to avoid it like the plague.
But I think what's so wonderful about these programs that we are doing with Janice and with Judy is we do talk about change, but we also are giving you easy ways to change. Something that's not drastic. Drastic change is really great for about a week or two. And then you're going to fall right back into your patterns. I think when you take something, take a little step, a baby step, and get that implemented in your life, you're ready to take another baby step. But get that in your life, like one step at a time, correct?
Sometimes. What do you think in our country, let's just use the United States, are most people in the gear of waiting for a crisis to change whatever it is that has to be changed in their life and being kind of forced into that, and then they'll deal with the issue? Or do they pre-plan things, think ahead and say, my goal is to be independent and do what I need to do and want to do? Are they always looking at that? Which would you say it is? Are we crisis oriented in our country or not?
I think so.
Yeah.
After all, television tells us there's a pill out there for anything, so how bad could it be? Because if I have a heart disease or high blood pressure, or you can, fill in the ailment and that, there's a pill for it, and I'll take that pill and life will go on.
Right. Right.
That's true. You're right.
Well,
but it doesn't quite go on as easily as we're led to believe.
And when you were saying like small steps, yes, we would all agree. Don't try to change your entire life in one fell swoop. However, sometimes that'll be used as an excuse. Okay, well, it can't be that important because it's so small, so I don't think. But if someone imposes on you, I'm sorry to tell you this, but you have coronary artery disease, if you don't shape up with your eating or exercise, you are going to have a heart attack because of your family history. Whoa, that's being hit right across the head. Do you see? So everybody is an individual, but yes, we do have some commonalities. But like, okay, I want to put Janice on the hot seat for just a second.
We'll give you a break.
So you always tell us that potato chips are your downfall.
Absolutely.
So every time you're faced with potato chips, what is your excuse for eating them? Is it the reward you were talking about, that you've eaten healthier earlier in the day, so this is no problem?
Not usually with that. With that, it's number one, I like them.
Okay.
And so I'm weak.
Taste.
And if they're in the house and the bag is open.
Yes.
Then sometimes it's like, well, once they're gone, then I'm not going to eat them anymore, until they come in the house again.
Okay.
So I may as well finish them off now because I know I'm going to eat them. So.
Okay. Now, have you had that awareness right along, or with potato chips? I mean, you bring it up a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm saying, hot button here, we got to talk about.
Now, it's actually been in more recent years when my blood pressure climbed a little bit, and I just started thinking about, okay, I'm getting older now.
Yes.
What kind of family history do I have that puts me at risk? And, in other areas of my life eating that I've got maybe a little bit better control, but this is an area that
is still kind of...
It's still a challenge.
It still is
a challenge.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Does it alter anything very much about your lifestyle? Is that why you fight, like just saying, okay, I'm not going to eat potato chips? At all. Let's just start with the worst. I am not going to eat them because when I have one, I have to have 16.
Yeah.
But, or do you just say, one of these days I'm going to get serious about this?
Well, I guess I don't see the immediate impact, and so that's not giving me. But this is the voice then when we talk about this that plays in my mind. Well, if something happens and you have a stroke or that, then you're going to have to give stuff like this up anyway. So why not do it now and avoid that event?
Right.
Let's do some prevention.
Right.
Because in most areas in my life, I'm about prevention.
Okay.
But this is a hurdle.
But how about, in my case, put myself on the hot
Yeah.
seat, how about that, Judy?
All right.
You don't even have to do it. I'm getting older. Okay, for all the years of my life, I have eaten a certain way and developed some additional healthy eating habits. Is it gonna make that much of a difference at this point in my life to have to not enjoy some of those things? Now, that's a hard pill to swallow too, because usually I will justify it saying, like you had said a few minutes ago, but I do eat pretty healthy. I eat a lot of fruits and vegetables. But then when I buy the sour cream donut that I tell you about, why is that still in my life?
Yeah.
Taste first. I mean, looking at something, I can actually taste it. Now, how is that possible? It just is, because I have set up that in my brain.
Well, food has so many different impacts
Right.
on our senses. It appeals
Right.
to all of our senses most of the
Right.
time. So that's
And not bringing it in the house is my other weakness. Once it's there, then you get into that gear of how we were brought up. Okay, if you're going to have it there, you better finish it.
That's
and
right.
eat it.
Guilt.
You
Right.
don't throw food away, or come on, how many people are starving in China?
Right.
All
Yeah.
the old things, you know, that just don't work. I don't think anymore.
know.
So, okay, any others about you though? Personal excuses. Have we touched on them already?
I think we've touched on them. My biggest excuse is reward. I reward myself that if I've eaten healthy throughout the day,
Yes.
or if I've done a good workout that morning, that I feel I can eat it. Even though I know it's not good for me,
Yes.
even though I know this is the last thing I should be eating, this huge piece of fudge chocolate cake.
Right.
Just talking about it's making me hungry.
See how
There.
the senses
See?
come into play.
There you go.
But the truth of the matter is, and here's where I fall into a problem.
Okay.
I don't feel guilty afterwards.
Okay.
So that to me is, like you
Yeah.
said, sometimes you do, sometimes you don't.
Yes.
I have been able to actually rationalize,
There you
and I don't
go.
do it all the time.
Right.
And I don't, because I really have picked up on a lot of the programs that we have done here, and I have changed a lot of my eating habits.
Right.
From the first time we've met. I
Oh
think
my
you thought,
gosh.
this poor
Oh, no.
woman
See?
is she's
No.
a hopeless case. But I've made small changes. But no, I don't feel guilty.
So if you were to inject the next time you were in that situation and tempted with that chocolate cake, whatever, and say to yourself, you know, the thought comes in and you say, I've been really good today. I've eaten healthy.
Right.
And man, this would just top it off, right?
Okay.
If you, in just one instance, try it, and you say, just this once, no, I'm not going to do it because I'm going to say that I don't want to negate the progress that I've made with the exercise I've done or whatever I have done now. What would happen to you?
Well-
oh, here she goes into the psychology. Yeah,
No,
that's not
no,
good.
because
Okay.
what I would have to do is really very much on that line. What I would have to do is look at that cake, and I would have to consciously stop and think about what ingredients are in that are not good for me, that are unhealthy ingredients, the amount of sugar,
Right. Okay.
you know,
Fat,
the
probably.
carbs, the
Yes,
fat.
right.
Stop, and I'd have to actually analyze that and say, you know what? I don't need this sugar in my body. I just don't need.
But is it going to work? Is
It
that
could.
strategy?
That'd be the only
going
way
to-
I could do it.
Well, you know, one other thing possibly is thinking, you know, I've passed this up before, I can do it again.
That's a very good strategy too. How about the size of it? Do you typically would you have the same size every time you go to
Probably.
eat it? Or you say, okay, I'm going to eat this, but you know
But a
what?
smaller-
But a smaller
Immediately,
piece.
I'm taking a half of that.
Yeah.
Portion, we talk about
Portion
that.
control.
That
could
is-
probably work too.
Oh my gosh.
So there are different things that I could look at when I look
Yes.
at that piece of cake, and different ways to vary my way of thinking.
Right.
Eating
about
more slowly.
this. Even
to really
there you
enjoy
go.
what you're
to
eating.
really indulge.
We
Yes,
talked
and
when we were
enjoy.
gathering here before about television eating too. How many times do you come home, take that piece of chocolate cake, sit in front of the TV, you eat it, and when it's over, you don't even have the sense of enjoyment from it. It's like you didn't
Yes,
really eat it.
right,
You know,
right.
instead of maybe changing the location, sitting at a table, thinking about and truly enjoying every bite, so that that smaller serving that you take, you enjoy more than maybe the big piece that is mindless eating. I mean, we all have mindless eating.
I agree. Environment
You know?
is very, very
Oh
important
my gosh, yeah.
on your eating habits.
Don't set yourself up for failure the way we
Yeah.
position
Yeah.
things or place
Exactly.
on whatever.
Exactly. Sitting down is very important. I may not be a TV eater, but I'm standing at the counter and eat. And I'm
there
thinking
again.
about something, and I'm reading. I'm going through the mail,
Oh,
or I'm
there you go.
or
That's
I'm
another
leafing
comment.
through
Yeah,
a magazine.
Grab
I think a
those
lot of
potato
times we're
chips or the
eating and
cake.
Right.
it's not that we're even
So-
enjoying it that
This
much.
is it, exactly. And you know, our viewers, just to tell you, I think as you listen to all of us, if sometime later today, after you watch the show, the little red light comes on when you are grabbing for a piece of food or in the supermarket, that is excellent. Don't think, oh no, they're really bugging me now. It's like they're on my shoulder sitting. Be thankful because you need that awareness to
Right.
move forward.
Right, and you've talked about some excellent strategies here that we can use
Right.
emotionally to help us eat healthier. Just briefly, because our time's coming to an end, but briefly, how can we have a more positive vision for our future to affect how we behave with our food?
Hot seat again.
Okay.
What would you say when you think of a positive vision for your future related to your health? What would you like to see yourself enjoying or doing or having or being? What comes to mind for you?
Right away, I want to be active.
Okay.
That's my number one
That's
thing.
it.
I want to remain active. I don't care how old I get. I don't want to be crippled up with
Exactly.
just something that would
It's
stop
debilitating
me
to you.
from
Yes. Right.
keeping
Okay.
active, from driving, from being independent.
No.
And that's very important to me.
Right.
And I am one, I have learned that what we eat truly, truly affects your future.
Oh my gosh.
So
Makes
the
such a
excuse, well, I've done it this far for
Yes,
this long,
I've made it this long, so why should I have
doesn't
to
cut
change?
it.
No.
Really doesn't
no,
cut it.
Right.
Really stop and think about what you want for your future, where you want yourself to be in 5 years, in 10 years, in 20 years.
Yeah.
And realize that you have control over that.
And
you know?
eating is a little portion of your lifestyle that you have to live
But
or to
it's an
change to get to
important-
that.
It's an important element, but
Yes, it
don't
is.
overdo it. How about you,
Yeah.
Janice? Like envisioning your future.
I would say the same thing. It comes back to what you said your brother says, being able to do what I want to do
Right, that's
when I
me,
want to
boy.
do it.
Right.
And as we think about even and plan, budgets and all that for future years and that, there's a lot of debate about health care and that now.
Yes.
Avoiding expensive medications that will also influence the quality
Right,
of life that
affect
I'm
your
able to
pocketbook
have.
and your quality.
So I really
Absolutely.
believe that healthy eating can, can help to control those costs also.
Ladies, thank you for joining us. What other resources are available to help us take action?
The most important resource sitting right at this table.
Okay.
Each of ourselves.
All right.
Okay, it starts with us.
Starts with the individual.
Stops here, and let's move forward by
I
looking
can't-
at ourselves.
Because I can't blame anybody for eating unhealthy.
That's it.
That's right.
So, viewers, if you have any questions, please feel free to give Janice a call.
Please do.
And what number can they reach you at?
825-0900 is the Penn State Extension Office here in Erie County.
Okay, and I bet everybody watching this program, when they go to take that next piece of food, they're going to be thinking about what we said today.
Great.
Viewers, thank you for tuning in today to the Millcreek Government Channel. Until next time, have a wonderful day.